Hi, James, Little Shop of Hammocks. Today we're going to be setting up an under quilt. I've got a 0-degree classic under quilt here, toaster, and I thought I'd give you the breakdown on how to set up your quilt when you first get it. When you get it, I'll just grab it here. It'll be in the stuff sack, and it will be a complete rectangle. Nothing, a little staticky here. Nothing is tensioned. It's just basically corded through, and it's up to you to adjust. And you know, everybody's hammocks are a little bit different. So with the under quilt, one end has a draft collar, and that is the foot end. Okay, just so you know which end is the foot end on your under quilt, and also the grass grain loops are black on your feet. Another distinguishing feature for the foot end is you've got a third attachment, and I'll show you how that sets up too. But the 3, that's your foot end. For your head end, it's a reddish, I guess it's almost sort of a purple. It's very kind of a drab color. I didn't want to go too bright with a bright red. This way it'll bend in, but it's still very distinctive, so you know. So that's your head end, okay? So right off the bat, when you get it, what you do is just take it out, let it loft. This one's pretty much fully lofted, so we'll just go right to it. Take your S-beaner. It'll have the lock taken off the one side. That just simply hooks onto your suspension with your hammock. Your other side, same thing, just onto the suspension. Now, one thing for you to note is I kind of have my under quilt set up a little bit different according to primary and secondary suspension. One thing I was finding with my own personal use is when the outer peripheral extension or cord is too tight, what it'll do is it'll actually push up against your feet, so it sort of makes it a little more uncomfortable when you have it all snugged up. So I've sort of reversed it. All that this peripheral cord does is it sort of brings in the top of the quilt to the hammock, okay? That way, in really gusty wind and stuff, it's not going to be fluttering around, and it'll help prevent the wind from coming in. So your corners are what I consider your primary suspension. And on the foot end, you've got the 2 corners, and you've also got the one in the middle. All right. Now the middle one, I'll show you how that works. So the other thing to note is this is a quilt made for a 11-foot hammock. Now there's no difference in the actual quilt, but if you've got a shorter hammock, like a 10-foot, 10-foot 5, you can actually shorten the main peripheral suspension simply by, at the end here, that peripheral, just put a knot in it. Shorten it 4 inches down, and then that'll help. But like I said, it's not totally necessary. Now on mine, I've got under quilt hooks, and I will hook all 4 corners up. Each hammock's a little bit different because the way you lay is unique compared to everybody else. No one's the same. So you may find you don't need these with your hammock. And if you don't, or if you only use 2, that's fine as well. So that's what I'll do right off the bat. Okay. Now the end ones, I'm not going to do quite yet. I'm actually going to find out in my hammock. There's where my shoulder is. My head's usually here. So I'm going to try to position it where I want it. So I'm going to actually take this one, snug it up a bit. And really all that does is it sort of centers the quilt on that peripheral suspension that you're interested in getting into the right spot. So I'll tighten this one up. And when you've got this sort of where you think you want it, what I want you to do, if you're by yourself, is open up your hammock, push down hard, and just see you want the bottom of the inside fabric to just be lightly touching, okay? Now, see, the problem with a lot of fabrics nowadays, which isn't a problem, it's just something I have to work with, is that they are ultralight. They are, you know, there's a lot of give to them. They're not very solid, eh? So you pushing down actually can kind of bow in the underquilt. It's not like you're just pushing down the whole quilt. In certain key spots, you're actually pushing into the quilt. So just make sure where your butt is, that you'll be just touching that, and then you'll still have this loft. You'll still have the 4 inches, the 3 and whatever size your quilt is, that loft will be maintained, okay? And then these end channels, I like to do them up so they're just at the head end. They're just closing up on the hammock, not quite though. As soon as you get in, it's going to spread out, okay? So it makes it so that you have a little more room. You can kind of play with this. Same with on the foot end. The foot end usually I'll have that closed up a little bit more. It also has the draft collar like I mentioned, so have that folded in. And then this middle on the the middle shop cord on the end, what it'll do is if you tighten that up, it actually pulls up the middle. So it'll help to get rid of any air pockets that can cause some cold to get in. All right. Now that's kind of approximately. Now when you're on your own, it's tougher. This is a whole lot easier if you have somebody in the hammock while you're adjusting it. But you can kind of see how this is sort of following the line, and you know you're going to be on your diagonal in the hammock. Actually, I'll just get it in and show you. So we've got it set up where we think we like it. Just for ease, I'm going to bring back the net. All right. Always double check, make sure I put my hammock up correctly. As soon as I get in it, it's instant heat. Like I can feel it on my back and my butt, which is where I want to feel the heat. So you can test this as well for air pockets. Now you got to make sure you're not pushing the quilt out, but you just slide your hand in between and sort of feel what you got there, okay? So I'm 5'9". I've got, for this quilt, and all my quilts are the same length and width, it's actually just over my head, and I've actually got it so I've got probably 2 or 3 inches on my foot end. So, you know, a lot of people when they do their quilts, they actually want them shorter than that. They want them at just above the shoulders, and if they're taller, you know, my feet are protected. There's plenty of room in here. Yeah. Okay, and you can see the foot end, as I got up, the suspension kind of worked with me. All right. Now the other thing is, people are like, well, I want to use my tie-outs. Okay. I have the grass green loops here, and they can be hooked up to your tie-outs on your hammocks so they're pulled out. But I wouldn't recommend putting them right close, because what that does is it actually pulls your underquilt a little too wide, okay? You want it to fold up around your shoulders, and if you pull it out like this, it's possible to stretch it out and cause some compression. So, a little bit of shock cord from each. I've been sending out these loops with a lot of my underquilts just to get some feedback, but you can make them yourself. A loop on one end, I use this little Darth Vader head shock cord, you know, with the hooks. And then I will actually either leave it on my Under Quilt or I'll leave it on my hammock. I've got a couple of hammocks, so if I know I'm taking a certain quilt, so it'll just stay on it, and I can adjust this. So I've got, you know, say 3 inches there. Loop it on. So now, when my tie-out comes out, see, I've got a little bit of room there. So, and I can adjust that, make it shorter or longer for my pullouts. In the wintertime, I don't bother with any pullouts. Not worried about the net and the bugs getting at me. So, but I do use my net in the wintertime. That has come up too. Do you use your net? I do. I don't know if it makes it any warmer, but I actually like the way I'm sort of cocooned in there. And it also, when it's on, I can get out of my hammock, say in the morning or midnight, you know, just to take one of those little strolls. And I'm not going to be dragging. It actually keeps my quilts inside the hammock in case something catches, or, you know, I don't drag it out with me. It tends to help keep them in. Anyway, there you go. That's the basic setup of the Under Quilt. If you have any questions, make sure to let me know. Thank you very much.